My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network listeners. I am Jeff Hawkins, co-host of Shake Them Ropes, with a very special announcement. If it's been a while or you've never listened to us before, the original gang is back. Myself and Rob McCarran, back talking wrestling. We have no idea where this show's going to go, where we're going to keep any of the old bits or any of the old things in there. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey, and we'd like for you to come along with us. Only on Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Music of the Mat Remix on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. I'm your host, Andrew Rich, joined today by a returning guest. He is a former contributor at Voices of Wrestling. It's Sean Flynn. Hello again, Sean.
I was beginning to think you'd forgotten my phone number or email there, Andrew.
I didn't forget. It's been a while since the last time you were on here. A little over 2.5 years ago at this point. We did that early ROH themes grab bag episode where we talked about the themes for Jimmy Rave and Christopher Daniels and the many members of Special K. It was a fun time, but this is your first time on the remix era of the show, so it's going to be a different sort of music chat than we've done before, but I'm still very much looking forward to this, Sean.
As am I. This is one of the topics that's very near and dear to my heart and my stomach.
Yeah, well, today's episode, it is inspired by the time of year because it's going to come out just a few days before Thanksgiving. And that's a time where we come together with family and friends to have some good times and say what we're thankful for and maybe watch some football. But most importantly, it's a time where we eat a whole lot of food. Turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, all the stars are here. Now, Sean, I know you are a foodie, a food connoisseur, whatever term you want to use. Do you go fancy on Thanksgiving? Do you go off the beaten path? Do you keep to the old standards? What's your deal there?
Honestly, for me, it's really whomever's going to feed me because I'm very lazy. There's been a few years where we've actually done like Brazilian steakhouses for Thanksgiving dinner, just because didn't really have the ability to visit family or anything during that time. So just found something like that. If friends are having a Thanksgiving dinner, I'll go and enjoy whatever they're serving. As long as there's enough stuffing for me to eat at least 3 times my weight in it, I'm golden. I don't need truffles or caviar or anything on my turkey. What's your Thanksgiving side of choice?
I'm a mashed potatoes guy. That's my number one there. Because, yeah, our family keeps it classic, which I appreciate, by the way, because I am definitely not a foodie. That is not my way of life at all. But but I will say, because of my job, there have been several years where I have had to work on Thanksgiving. And they used to cater a Thanksgiving meal for the people working that day, but that is no longer the case. So my Thanksgiving dinners sometimes have been spaghetti with Italian sausage or tuna bagel sandwiches or something, totally non-Thanksgiving-like, which is a bit depressing, sure, but sometimes you just got to make do with what you got, John.
Well, next year, if you want to come out to Chicago, I'll make sure you have a proper Thanksgiving dinner.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving time. Food is on the mind. So we'll be playing songs today about food, or have food or drinks or some sort of food concept in the title, either or. And as for what to call the episode to tie it to wrestling, it came easy for me. Sitting in catering. That is a phrase that has become a shorthand reference, a shorthand joke for whenever a wrestler is not being used on TV for a chunk of time, and they're not injured, they're fine, but where are they? They're sitting in catering. They are sitting in the back, eating some food, and watching other wrestlers get the spotlight. And I know it's meant to be a bad thing. You don't want to be sitting in catering. You want to be out there in front of the crowd, soaking up the fame, soaking up the glory. But to be honest with you, as someone who enjoys a good meal, especially one that is free, and I don't have to make myself, sitting in catering sounds pretty good to me. Like, I'd probably turn down pushes just to stay back there, Sean.
I would definitely not want a mid-card push. It's like, if I have my choice between being 6th on the card or hanging out, no bumps, eating free food all night, I'm staying back there. You got to hook me up with a major main event level push before I'm like, all right, push the plate away.
Especially nowadays, with the kind of food they have back there in WWE or AEW. I've seen footage from backstage at AEW shows where they're making the food and they've got this buffet of all sorts of meats and pastas and salads and pastries, and there's plenty to go around. I'm sure it's not like the best you'll ever have in your life, but it's a damn good spread. As opposed to, say, back in 94, 95, the real lean years of the WWF, where they've got ham sandwiches for the boys. That's not the time you want to be back there in catering. That's for damn sure.
It's about time they start treating these athletes the way other sports do. Make sure that they get at least one good nutritious day per week.
Right. Well, let's get to the music here. We have 8 songs each and a play-out song at the end. Sean, you are the guest. You'll go first. What's your first pick?
My first pick is A Taste of Honey by Herb Alpert, which was released in 1965, and shockingly enough, was the album of the record of the year at the following year's Grammys, beating out a little song called Yesterday by some group called the Beatles. Can't you just hear that at a key party in 1965? Sitting down with some friends, getting ready to eat some fondue and listening to Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, who I mistakenly left out earlier, and I ask for their forgiveness. It's just such a perfect 60s. This was so hip back then, and frankly, it's still hip even now. And it's literally the song that runs through my brain about 30 to 35% of the time on any given day. But if you see me sitting somewhere and my head's just kind of bobbing a little left and right, you can usually assume that if it's not the end music from Dawn of the Dead, it's Taste of Honey playing in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of those songs where I heard it and I went, oh, it's this song. Because I've heard that trumpet melody 100 times before, but I didn't know what the song was. But yeah, it's 60 years old this year, and you said it like this beat out the Beatles at the Grammys. Like this beat out Yesterday, one of the most acclaimed pop songs ever, a song that many people consider to be the best of all time, and it got beat out by like it's really amazing to see that, Sean.
It is, and I chose it because, for one thing, like I said, it's one of my favorite things, but it's also such a vibe of an era, and to kind of tie it back into food, which is probably the thing I think about more than I ever thought about wrestling, even back in the day. It's got a classic vibe to it. It's, like I said, I mentioned fondue earlier. It makes me want to read old cookbooks, like, not great cookbooks, like, but the kind of things that you would see kind of laughed at on the internet as, like, bad cocktail party cookbooks. But it just feels like something so foreign. This is the kind of thing that you would have a weird Jell-O mold to, that someone was like, look what I made! It's ham and Jell-O! And it's shaped like a 1957 Edsel! Hooray! I just want one day in my life to be as cool as being at a party in an apartment overlooking a city would have been, listening to this, and maybe the girl from Ipanema having a few cocktails, having some fondue, having some nachos, which were a very foreign, exotic food at that time.
Wearing an ascot,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I really just kind of want to be about 50, 60 years in the past these days, but the DeLorean's still not quite working.
No. Well, the album as well, speaking of food, the album is called Whipped Cream and Other Delights. And that was also a big hit. This was number 1 for 8 weeks. It was a big deal. And the album cover is iconic. It's the woman covered in what looks like a bunch of whipped cream. So I imagine that helped sell a few copies there, Sean.
It's such everything about it is just sexy sex. I mean, like, I'm thinking about things right now, just hearing the song in my head.
All right, calm down now. Come on. But
sorry.
Okay, my first pick is the first and most important meal of the day. It's breakfast, and this breakfast is served up by a band from Britain called Supertramp. This is the title track off the 1979 album. This is Breakfast in America.
Well, there's nothing better
it's not every day you get a tuba and a clarinet solo in a rock song. How about that? But it is a rather whimsical tune. Has that kind of folksy European countryside vibe to its sound. And that's got to be on purpose because the song is about the dream of going to America, the idealized America for the foreigner. See the girls in California. Everyone's a millionaire in Texas. Like, it's about wanting the success that America can give you. And the band gets their wish because this album is their biggest one ever. It's number one in the States, multiple top 20 hits, and it's just an excellent album in general, too. So, yeah, they got their breakfast and then some, Sean.
When looking up the notes for this album, I saw something, and I feel like it has to be a lie or a mistake of some sort, because it says this album sold 4 million copies. But as far as I could tell, every person I've ever met born between the years 1964 and 1975 owned this album. So it has to be at least 4 or 5 times more than that number. Every single record collection. Didn't matter what else was in it. 50 disco albums, Breakfast in America. Nothing but Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, and Breakfast in America. It jumps through. Is the late 70s were such a great time for really, really, really well-made music. And this whole album is one of those, but this song particularly, everything about it, all the different instruments, everything just comes together in such a musical way that is also completely non-threatening. And I mean that in the best possible way. You're not overwhelmed by the fact that there's a lot of stuff happening in this song. Everything slides in together, and it's all just like butter that as it goes over. And you're listening, and it's just, oh yeah, this is great. They're not quite in the yacht rock cohort, but the ethos is there of making something beautiful that's really complex, but also just seems and sounds so easy.
Mm-hmm. And another iconic album cover too, with the waitress holding up the glass of orange juice in one hand and the menu in the other, like the Statue of Liberty, and New York City is made up of plates and cups and silverware. It's great. And also as well, I knew about this song before I'd even heard it, because there's a song by the band Gym Class Heroes called Cupid's Chokehold that samples it. So I knew, take a look at my girlfriend, she's the only one I got, well before I knew who Supertramp even was, Sean.
Sadly, I'm old enough to have actually known who Supertramp was because of them being an active band who was still on the radio, but I do like the idea. One of the fun things about talking to other wrestling fans and other people on the internet is that you do get to sort of have that global conversation that we dreamt we might be able to have before the internet turned into just an absolute trash fire of anger and AI-generated crap. But one of the things that I found always entertaining is whenever talking to Europeans, they would lose their minds at the sight of a big American breakfast, which is funny because God knows that the traditional English breakfast looks pretty big as well. But anytime that, like, for fun, you would post something in here's the American breakfast I had, and it's a pancake covered in chocolate and whipped cream and ice cream and bananas and nuts and bacon and sausage, and they would just lose it. Like, what's happening over there? How are any of you people able to walk? Are you a savory or sweet breakfast guy?
I barely eat breakfast as it is because I'm usually like getting up and going to work, pretty quickly thereafter. But I like pancakes, I like cereal and waffles, and the classics. I'm a classics man. No eggs though. I've never been an egg guy. I don't like eggs. So
I cannot eat eggs for the life of me unless they're like done in Japanese omelet form. I'm pretty much just averse to them, which is so strange. But can't go wrong with a breakfast that could easily pass for dessert, and preferably at least 4 or 5 glasses of something that's mostly cheap champagne and a splash of juice.
One more thing about this. Rest in peace to Rick Davies, one of the two vocalists and a founding member of the band. He's the one with the lower registered voice. So he doesn't sing lead on this one. He sings backup. But yeah, he died earlier this year, sadly, at 81. So yeah, R.I.P. Rick Davies. But all right, Sean, what's the next pick?
The next pick is going to be Escape, also known as the Pina Colada song, which I picked if for no other reason than there's a single part of the song that I need to discuss with you and with the world at large. And I think it's worth listening to the whole thing just to make sure that we can contextualize it.
I was tired of my lady. We'd been together too long. Like a worn-out recording of a favorite song. So while she lay there sleeping, I read the paper in bed. And in the personal columns, there was this letter I read. If you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, if you're not into yoga, if you have half a brain, if you like making love at midnight in the dunes on the Cape, then I'm the love that you've looked for. Write to me and escape.
Now that is a catchy tune that's really exemplifies some of my main precepts of life. For I too do not like yoga, and I too do enjoy people who have half a brain. Also, I am into champagne. So, I mean, it really is a manual for living. And I can't argue with pina coladas. They're not my main drink, although God knows I do love a fruity umbrella-wielding drink. More of a daiquiri person, though. But we need to talk about the guitar riff. That guitar riff that kicks in after that chorus that is... Let's just say that if you truly wanted to create the most perfect weapon of terrorism in the world, you would find a way to weaponize that riff, because that riff is just nothing but pure chlamydia and gonorrhea and every other STD ever thought of in the universe, taking pure musical form. You need to take penicillin if you listen to this song more than 3 times in a single day. And it's amazing because of that. Just, I never knew that a guitar could actually be profane until then. Until I heard that.
Well, how do I follow that? My goodness. But yeah, I was going to say, this is a real proper yacht rock classic, like emphasis on yacht, because this is like a sun-shining, blue sky, lying on a deck chair on the boat kind of song. And it's one of those songs where everyone knows the chorus, but they may not actually know the story of the song, which is about a guy who is bored with his lady. He finds a personal ad from some woman looking for a man. He writes back to her to arrange a date, and it turns out it's his lady who wrote the ad, and that rekindles the relationship. So the lesson to all you folks out there, if you want to spice things up with your partner, cheat on them. It's a foolproof plan, Sean. It's right there in the song.
I feel like he was ahead of his time. I mean, that's pretty much just standard dating advice these days, isn't it? Now that we live in an age of thruples and all sorts of complicated relationships, I'm but a simple man who's very happy in his marriage and has been in this marriage for 20 years, so I don't really know about these sorts of strange things, but as an unfrozen caveman lawyer, I hear that people are becoming less and less tied to monogamous relationships these days. And Rupert is the song for that.
Yeah, the thing is, though, I don't know how many personal ads are being taken out in newspapers nowadays. It's more of a Tinder world, so I think they may need to update the song there. So
and think how happy he would be. think how happy Rupert would be to see that the old personal ad has been replaced and now you can cast your net across the world at large to find just that right person who might even have 3/4 of a brain if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's like the scene in 2001 where he's going through the vortex and all the colors are flying by. It's like, oh my god, like what new worlds am I entering here? But here's something I learned about this song. The original line wasn't "if you like pina coladas," it was "if you like Humphrey Bogart." And Rupert Holmes tells the story of changing it. He says, "As I was getting on mic, I thought to myself, I've done so many movie references to Bogart and widescreen cinema on my earlier albums. Maybe I shouldn't do one here. I thought, what can I substitute? Well, this woman wants an escape, like she wants to go on vacation to the islands. When you go on vacation to the islands, when you sit on the beach and someone asks if you like a drink, you never order a Budweiser. You don't have a beer. You're on vacation. You want a drink and a hollowed out pineapple with the flags of all nations and a parasol. If the drink is blue, you'd be very happy. And a long straw. I thought, what are those escape drinks? Let's see, there's daiquiri, Mai Tai, pina colada. I wonder what a pina colada tastes like. I've never even had one. And as of 2019, he still does not drink pina coladas. Sean, how about that?
I feel like he's missing out there. I mean, because you got to know that man would never have to pay for a pina colada for the entirety of his life. I mean, that's thousands of pina coladas that have gone undrank. It's a tragedy.
A missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity for sure, yeah. But yeah, there's your fun fact. It was going to be Humphrey Bogart, and now it's pina colada.
We're a better off society for that, because, man, as fun as a song about wearing fedoras and chain smoking would have been, I think we ended up with a better choice here.
Mm-hmm. It was a real sliding doors moment. I agree. But all right, my next pick here, I've got a snack to munch on, especially when I'm at the movies. This is the band Hot Butter, which is an amazing band name. This is from 1972. This is Popcorn. Yeah, just a delightful song that showcases the beauty and the majesty of the Moog synthesizer. I didn't realize that this was a cover. It was originally done by a guy named Gershon Kingsley, who was a pioneer of electronic music and the Moog. And he came up with it in 1969. Nice. And then one of the members of his band did another version with his own band, Hot Butter. And that version, this song, became the hit. It became the one we all know. And I also didn't realize that the name of the song is a pun. Popcorn is a combination of pop music and kitsch. But it also just sounds like popcorn popping. So it works on both fronts, Sean.
I need to point out that the album that this was originally on, Gershon Kingsley, was Music to Moog by.
Mm-hmm.
And that just... You could name an album like that back then, and he totally thought it was cool, and he was probably right. I had never heard this song before, at least never knowingly heard this song before. And good God, it's jaunty. I just want to like walk around at a fast pace, like through the city streets with listening to this, and bopping as I walk. It made me happy on a day when frankly, it was a shitty sort of day. The kind of day where you just want to drop an anvil from space onto your boss, maybe. But this got me cheered up listening to it. So I have to thank you for that, because this is going into the rotation now of things that I listen to when I need something mindless to just get the dopamine flowing in my brain. Because I had never... I mean, I'm sure I've heard it, but when I saw this on the list, I was like, I have no idea what this is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those strange things where you listen to it and it's like, this is a hit? But it was, this was number one in several European countries. It was top 10 in the U.S. It's amazing how that works out like that. But I was wondering, like, did Hot Butter do anything else besides this? And it turns out they also did versions of Apache, Telstar, Day by Day from Godspell, and then they broke up in 78. So, they were only around for a short time, but they moved their way into our hearts, Sean. You can't deny it.
It's always fun to hear something when you're like, when a song is the kind that even if you've never heard it before, it's familiar. I know this song, even though I don't actually think I know this song. They just hit on something that is like woven in the DNA of your brain. That's just that beat and that bounce that you're going to know it. You're going to feel it. You're going to understand it, even if it's something that's completely new to you.
Mm-hmm. It's quite the jaunt. Absolutely. All right, Sean, what's your next pick there?
My next pick is a very appropriate song for the coming holiday, as it at least somewhat centers around it. It's one of the longest songs to ever become a hit. And frankly, I think it's the only bulwark that stands between us and Christmas taking over everything between December 25th all the way back to November 1st. It's Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie.
You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Now it all started 2 Thanksgivings ago. It was on 2 years ago on Thanksgiving when my friend and I went up to visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice doesn't live in the restaurant. She lives in the church nearby the restaurant in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Facha the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they got a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And having all that room, seeing as how they took out all the pews, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there, we found all the garbage in there, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take.
And it just keeps going and going and going and going. Like when I get the clips for the show, I try to find good spots to fade in and fade out. But in this case, it's 18 minutes straight of him talking. Like, there's no good exit ramp here.
So yeah, you were in a bad spot because you can't possibly break Alice's Restaurant up. It's a perfect thing. It's like the monolith in 2001. It just is. It exists outside of time and space, which is why it can go so long. And there's no point at which you can say, okay, this is the good part, this is the bad part, because they're all the good part. And I will fight anyone over whether or not this is the best story song ever made. I hope I don't have to, because I'm old and tired and I bruise easily, but I would defend the honor of this if absolutely necessary. And it is... Thanksgiving doesn't get a lot of traditions. I mean, you get your turkey, you get to watch football on Thanksgiving Day, you watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but it's not like Christmas or Halloween where there's an entire cottage industry around media relating to Thanksgiving. So Arlo's got to carry a big load to be the only Thanksgiving song that you can really think of, at least. And he does it. He does it well. And it also just happens to be one of the better protest songs ever made, but that's something that's neither here nor there. It's a Thanksgiving tradition. Every year, wherever we're going to eat Thanksgiving dinner, whether it's with family, whether it's with friends, whether it's just driving to a restaurant for me and my wife to go to, that song is going to play. And before that song, before the days of having the iPods and Spotify and everything, every year when the local radio station here, WXRT, it plays this song twice a day on Thanksgiving, once at like 11 and once at 6. And it was a tradition. Just make sure that you're by the radio at 11 a.m. to properly get into the holiday spirit and get into the spirit of, all right, we're going to have fun with family. We're going to be stupid. We're going to tell stories that are exaggerated and crazy. And we're going to try to have some fun for a little while until we have to go back into the cold, dark world, especially if you live in the Midwest in late November.
Yeah, you know, I've been aware of this song for many years. I know it's become a tradition on Thanksgiving to play it on the radio and all that stuff, but I had never actually listened to the whole thing before until this episode. And, you know, it got a light chuckle out of me. I understand the point. It's meant to be a critique of the Vietnam War and the hypocrisy of excluding people from the army for moral reasons when you're going to go over there and kill people and burn villages and do horrible things. I get all that, but once is enough for me. And I say this as a prog rock guy. I have listened to my fair share of 18-minute, 20-minute songs multiple times, so I am being a little hypocritical there. But it's just not really my thing, Sean.
That's okay. People can make mistakes. I still like you.
I will say, though, it is based on a true story, and there was an Alice's restaurant in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, owned by Alice Brooke, who actually died last year. She was 83, and Arlo Guthrie is still alive. He's 78, and I don't think he's toured lately, but yeah, Arlo is still with us. God love him.
Still with it, still doing his stuff, still trying to carry on some of his dad's legacy, and just... I said, I can't imagine Thanksgiving without it. It and the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald are the only two songs that stand between Mariah Carey owning an entire quarter of the year.
She's a-comin'. She's a very powerful force. You can't hold her off forever there, so...
Can't stop her. You can only hope to contain her.
Yeah, but all right, much like Kramer and the pretzels, this popcorn is making me thirsty. So I'm going to grab myself a bottle of soda from the fridge of REM. This is off of their album Green from '88. This is Orange Crush. Who loves Agent Orange? Cal loves Agent Orange. Is it true? I do. Ooh. Yeah, so we're keeping the Vietnam motif going here. The song is not actually about orange soda. It's about Agent Orange, the herbicide and defoliant used during the Vietnam War. Hence why the opening drum fill sounds like a machine gun, and there's military marching and sound effects in there too. I've had my fun, and now it's time to serve your conscience overseas. And the Orange Crush is not a refreshing soda pop. It's the Birth Defects from Agent Orange. I got my spine, I got my Orange Crush. So, yeah, not a happy tune at all, but it's also really catchy. And one of my favorite REM songs, too, Sean.
Oh, absolutely. First off, I was disappointed because I am an absolute orange soda fiend and had to cut back on that as I've gotten older. But back in my younger days, I could put away a 12-pack of a orange slice in a day. REM is always so... I don't listen to them for a while, and then I go back and start listening to them. I'm like, God damn it, why don't I listen to them more? Because they're so good. And you start rattling off, you think of songs, it's like, I wouldn't have thought of Orange Crush in my top 25 REM songs. But damn it, it just, the minute you hear it, it just digs into your brain. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna be singing this now for another week. Even if you have no idea what they're talking about, because, yeah, I mean, I was far older than I should have been when I finally learned that this was a song about a defoliant used in Vietnam. I figured it was just that Michael Stipe was being contrarian, and unlike all the other people in Georgia drinking his Coca-Cola, he was having some orange soda. Because he's the kind of man who would walk against the tide like that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like the alternate timeline where Michael Stipe is singing, "Follow me, don't follow me, I've got my spine, I've got my Mr. Pibb." Doesn't have the same ring to it, you know? Or if the Insane Clown Posse did, "I've got my spine, I've got my Faygo red." You know, there's options here, Sean, there's options.
Well, see, now I want the ICP cover of this song only about Orange Faygo. But that's probably just because I was looking at Weird Al's upcoming tour, and now I'm very thinking about food parody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have no Weird Al in this episode, oddly enough, because he's got like, what, 8 million food parody songs, you know, because Eat It is the big one, but Fat, I Love Rocky Road, My Bologna, Grapefruit Diet, like, we could just do an entire episode of just Weird Al food songs, Sean. He's got that many.
I only had room for one ridiculously long song selection in my mind, but you narrowly avoided getting trapped into drive-thru.
We'd be here all day with that one, maybe. I don't know, but all right, Sean, what's your next pick?
The next pick is by Mac Miller, He Who Ate All the Caviar, and I picked it because, well, for one thing, much like Mac says in the song, also, I get money, I fuck hoes, I wear really nice clothes, and I go to the club and buy all Patron. All of it. But also because this is where we start to get into the songs that I picked more to talk about food rather than the song.
Came up in this country, started out in this Civic, pray for rain till it's muddy, praying more than just Sunday, eating good, I'm still hungry, left no evidence on these dishes, watch movies, no sound, smoke weed in this dope house, and my bitch, coked out, smoke loud when she go down, damn, this is life, riding on Gary Fisher bikes, know the kid is nice, piece of cake, you won't get a slice, any time of night, hide your kids, hide your wife, find a sip, by the Sprite, high shit, blind a bitch, dynamite. Bang. Bitch, tell me what your problem's like. I wanna know for real. If you got the pipe, we can talk all night. Psych. I get money, I fuck hoes, I wear really nice clothes, I go to the club and buy all Patron. I get a lot of bitches who love to suck my dick. I made a lot of money. I'm real motherfucking rich. I get money, I fuck hoes, I wear really nice clothes, I go to the club and buy all Patron. I get a lot of bitches.
He really could have just been writing about my life. Or, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, that's not my life. My life is being a middle-aged man who sits in his basement office all day. But I picked this because two things. One, I enjoy anything that sends up rampant consumerism because I'm a contradiction. I like a lot of things that fall into that sort of conspicuous consumption category, but I get no joy or any sort of gratification from the idea of having something expensive or having something that is a marker of success or of excess, as the case may be. And as a man of culture, one of my favorite TV shows is the Below Deck franchise on Bravo. And one of the running jokes that we've seen over the years in that is all of these nouveau riche people who have far more money than taste demanding Don Julio 1942 when they're on the boats. And the Patron reference is kind of was Don Julio 1942 before Don Julio 1942 existed in a lot of ways. But people think that sometimes you're doing things for, like, you used the term foodie when you introduced me, and I appreciated that you then went to food connoisseur, because foodie has a stigma to it. Caviar is good not because it's expensive. Caviar is good not because when you have it, people think, oh, he's having caviar. Caviar is good because little baby fish eggs are some of the tastiest goddamn things I've ever had in my life. Have you ever had caviar?
I have never had caviar. I'm not a fish guy. I like tuna fish, but that's really it. So
it's not fishy, though. That's the thing. It's funny because two things that I just don't usually care for are I don't care for, like, a lot of fish, and I don't care for eggs, as we discussed. But fish eggs are essentially just the most concentrated pop of saltiness and umami combined. It's just like, boom! It's like someone lights off a firecracker in your mouth. And I used caviar because I think that that's one of the foods that whenever I see people talking about quote-unquote fine dining or anything like that, caviar is always used as an example of I don't think anyone really likes these things. I think they're just eating them to look fancy and to try and let people know, oh, I'm able to afford this. And I figure that this was the place to make my stand, because I bet Mac Miller, if he was here still, he would probably enjoy caviar, not because it's fancy, but because it tastes good. And I feel it's my job to be the evangelist to the world to say, don't fear the caviar. It's not just a richy food. It's not just oh, I'm trying to look cool and I'm trying to show off. No, it's really, really tasty. And I encourage anyone who's never tried it, who has any enjoyment of fish or salt or umami or brininess, just try a little bit of it. This is my public service announcement to the world.
All right, then. Well, as far as the song goes, it's important to say that Mac Miller was just joking around with this song. It wasn't trying to be a serious rap artiste, because otherwise you might think he's the laziest rapper ever. Rhyming quarterback with quarterback. There's ice in my mouth right now. Let me chew that shit, bitch. I'm cold. Yeah, I'm cold. All you rappers, you old. Don't go to award shows because they smell like nursing homes. It's not quite A-grade material here, but he is just messing around. The song isn't even on an album or Spotify. It's just a little new boot goofing, Sean.
I'll be honest though, the whole don't go to award shows because they smell like nursing homes, that's a bar. That's a bar, and that carries a little bit of fire with it. I can't argue against. I can't say that that's laziness. The rest of it, yeah, you can tell he's sending it up, but it's so. It really does catch the whole vibe of what your label humping trendoid Instagram influencer type is pushing out into the world, and much like I used to always say, sometimes I loved wrestling. I love watching wrestling, but I don't always love being associated with pro wrestling fans. I love the whole world of fine dining and all that, but I definitely sometimes do not appreciate being lumped in with a lot of the people who are at tables around me.
I mean, that's basically me with like Rick and Morty or Smiling Friends. Like, I love those shows, and most of the fans are cool, but some of them are people I want to stay far away from. That's for sure. But there is one line in the song that stands out to me in kind of a sad way. Yeah, I never want to get nominated. Yeah, I do. I'm just pissed I haven't gotten nominated. And that is true. Mac Miller was never nominated for a Grammy while he was alive, but he did get one after he died, sadly. So there you go. But
that sounds like exactly what I would have said about any of the 5,000 rejection letters I got sending out my work when I was doing my poetry MFA. I wouldn't want to be in your stupid
I don't need you anyway.
anyways.
Get out of here. Yeah. All right. So my next pick, going to sit down for a meal. Could be lunch, could be dinner. But regardless, I have a plate of some Chinese food. This band is not Chinese, however. They are Armenian. This is System of a Down, off of their album Toxicity. This is Chop Suey! Exclamation point.
Wake up! Grab brush and put a little makeup. I discuss the fade away, the shake up. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. I discuss the fade away, the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to. Well, I don't think you trust in my self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. Wake up, grab brush and put a little makeup. I discuss the fade away. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? Here you go, create another fable. You wanted to. Grab a brush and put a little makeup. You wanted to. I discuss the fade away, the shake up. You wanted to. Why'd you leave the keys upon the table? You wanted to. Well, I don't think you trust.
So a fun fact about the title, the song was originally called Suicide, or Self-Righteous Suicide, but it got changed because of some sort of pushback from the label. It's called Chop Suey because suey is the word suicide chopped in half. So some wordplay going on there, which I like a lot. But that said, it's still a rather appropriate name because chop suey as a dish is this mishmash of meat, eggs, veggies, rice. This song is also a mishmash of bizarre lyrics, tempo changes, tonal changes. It's fast and intense one moment. It's soft and ballad-like another. There's screaming, there's whispering, there's an emotional crescendo. It's chop suey in song form. And it's just a hell of a song in general, Sean.
And it's also, much like chop suey, something that it's got origins in different genres. It's got origins in rap, origins in metal, origins even if you listen to some of it maybe in punk. But much like chop suey, it's a completely American dish that is not really related to any of its progenitors. You wouldn't go back to rap to find this song. You wouldn't go back to metal to find this song. It's its own thing, just like you wouldn't go to China and say, "Can I get a bowl of chop suey?" They'd go, "What? The hell are you talking about?" But also, much like chop suey, it's really damn good and comforting, especially on a cold night. I miss this group being vital and active because they were one of the few groups in that era that really felt like they were trying to say something, even if it wasn't always coherent. It felt like they had a message, and I feel like that's something that's missing in almost all music nowadays, is any sort of message.
Yeah, I mean, they're still around. They still do the occasional tour every now and again, but it's been, 20 years since the last full album of theirs with Hypnotize and Mesmerize. So it's been a good long while there, yeah. And I don't like all of System of a Down. I do like their approachable stuff. This, Toxicity, BYOB, Aerials, songs like that. But I do want to bring this up. Richard Cheese does an amazing lounge cover of this song. Wake up, boom, grab a brush and put on a little makeup. And there's clips of him doing this song live where he'll do impressions of other musicians singing the chorus. So he'll do like Bob Dylan or Bjork or whatever. It's really funny, Sean. So
Richard Cheese is just an absolute treasure. I'm glad that at least some people got exposed to him with the, funny I mentioned Dawn of the Dead earlier, the Dawn of the Dead remake with his cover of Down with the Sickness. Because that is one of the best genre swaps I think I've ever heard. And I have not heard the Chop Suey one, but I'm going to have to dig that up pretty much as soon as we're done here.
All right, what you got next, Sean?
All right, next up on the list is Rock and Roll McDonald's by the Pride of Chicago, the late, great Wesley Willis. And if you lived in Chicago during a certain era and you never got headbutted by Wesley, then I just think you're kind of less cool than you could be.
McDonald's is a place to rock. It is a restaurant where they buy food to eat. It is a good place to listen to the music. People flock here to get down to the rock music. Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! McDonald's will make you fat. They serve Big Macs. They serve quarter pounders. They will put pounds on you. Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's!
So, to put things in context, the Rock and Roll McDonald's in Chicago was a McDonald's that was open like 24 hours a day. It was just outside of the loop where all the famous architecture and everything is. And it was the kind of place that around 3 or 4 in the morning, just you had no idea who or what might come crawling out of the doors towards you as you approached. And this song just brings me back to that time when I was young and still had high alcohol tolerance. And Wesley Willis was a very omnipresent piece of the Chicago scene for a while during that era. And it's always difficult for me when dealing with or when sort of hyping up Wesley Willis because he and the people around him and his career skate so dangerously on the edge between supporting outsider artists and exploiting somebody with mental illness for your own gain. And I still don't know which side of the equation I come to on that. I tend to think that I'm on the outsider artist side, that people who pushed Wesley Willis's music, the majority of them were trying to do it at least because it was something good and something that people could understand and identify with and it resonated with people. But I also know that there were plenty of people who, be it in live shows or just seeing him on the street, would try and rile him up just because they were dickheads and wanted to see if they could get him to go crazy and be crazy for their entertainment. And yeah, it's always difficult when dealing with an artist who's that open and that bound into their own mental struggles. But I think it's worth listening to, and I think that's always worth pushing Wesley out into the world, because he was something that I believe was wholly genuine in a very artificial world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had never heard of him before. I remember the song being in Super Size Me, but I didn't know this guy was, which makes sense because, yeah, he's this cult figure, this underground artist, outsider music as it's called. And from what I've read, he seemed like quite the character. I mean, this obese man with paranoid schizophrenia who made dozens of albums just singing and ranting. All of his songs ended the same way: rock over London, rock on Chicago, and then a company tagline, which in this case, Wheaties, Breakfast of Champions. And he had this permanent bruise on his forehead because, as you said, Sean, he would headbutt his fans as a way of saying hello. So, yeah, that's quite the statement. And I can only imagine, what it was like to experience this guy and be around him, when he was alive, Sean.
I recommend for anyone who hasn't, also look up his artworks. They're all just like pen and pencil and marker and crayon. I regret so deeply not having ever been able to buy any of them when he was selling them, because he would sell drawings of the skyline and things for 10, 20, 30 bucks out on the streets. And some of them are absolutely amazing. The power and the angularity of the work is just striking, and they're going now for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on the auction sites, and I could use that to buy more caviar.
Yeah, there you go. And I've been to Chicago 3 times. I had no idea there was an actual rock and roll McDonald's. But I would imagine that they don't play this song in the building. I mean, a guy shouts singing rock and roll McDonald's and saying that McDonald's makes you fat and their hamburgers are worse than Burger King. That doesn't seem like it would go over well at the Golden Arches there, Sean.
After a certain time of night, there were no rules there. you could have probably played that song and gotten the people behind the counter to sing along with you for it. Also, it's no longer nearly as rock and roll of a rock and roll McDonald's. Which is sad.
I read that they renovated it a few years ago. Yeah, so
everything corporate takes the soul out of stuff.
It's a cold world. It's a cold and cruel world. But all right, my next pick here. I need something healthy, because I can't just eat popcorn and soda. I need some actual nutrition. And I have a British folk singer to help me. This is Nick Drake, off of his debut album 5 Leaves Left from 1969. Again, nice. This is Fruit Tree.
Fame is but a fruit tree, so very unsound. It can never flourish till its stalk is in the ground. So men of fame can never find a way till time has flown far from their dying day. Forgotten while a year, remembered for a while. A much updated ruin from a much outdated style. Life is but a memory, happened long ago. Theater full of sadness for a long forgotten.
Finally, a Drake that isn't embarrassing to like. If I were to describe this song in one word, it would be prophetic, because this song is about delayed fame. As you heard in the clip there, fame is but a fruit tree, so very unsound. It can never flourish till its stalk is in the ground. So men of fame can never find a way till time has flown far from their dying day. Forgotten while you're here, remembered for a while, a much updated ruin from a much outdated style. And as it turned out, Nick Drake was describing himself. He was a great songwriter who made really beautiful and contemplative music, but he was not famous during his lifetime. It was only after his death, his suicide, that he became well known and beloved by the larger music world. Similar to Mac Miller, getting the Grammy nom after his death, recognition it comes too late for so many artists, Sean.
It does, and it's ironic, of course, that I think a lot of people's first exposure to Nick Drake, someone who was so, I don't want to say anti-commercial, but just not someone who was a commercial darling in his time, probably came from, I believe it was the Volkswagen commercial that used Pink Moon. I know multiple people who that was their entree into Nick Drake, was commercials and other non-traditional methods, and just makes you wonder what might Nick Drake just is hard for me because it's just a sadness, and as someone who's dealt with his own mental illness issues, it was a Volkswagen Cabriolet, by the way. Had to check that out because autism and all that. It's just so beautiful and so sad, and just it feels like depression made manifest. But it's depression standing on a beach, or it's depression underneath a clear blue sky. It's too beautiful to be just a gray, dull, miserable depression. It's depression in the midst of something wonderful. It's also the first song that we've listened to that I don't feel I would want to eat to. This would just be solely for drinking.
It would be hard to nosh to this music. I agree there, yeah.
The food's pointless at that point. At that time, it's like, whatever. I have food. Nah.
Well, earlier this year, they actually put out a box set called The Making of 5 Leaves Left, which is all of these studio outtakes and other versions of songs from tapes that were found decades later. And for someone like Nick Drake, there's not that much of his music out there. He's got 3 albums, and they're all highly acclaimed, but that's it. So to find anything new, relatively speaking, is akin to a goldmine, Sean.
How do you feel about that sort of thing? I mean, you're someone who's very familiar with the whole music industry. When artists who have been gone for a while, they start digging into vaults and finding things that were never released to the public, do you feel like that's curation in a way that's expanding the artist's profile, or is it sort of, for lack of a better term, grave robbing, which is far more serious a term than I would want to use here? But I'm thinking specifically of, because I know that Prince is someone who they say has thousands and thousands of hours of music that will likely never be released, or if it is released, it'll be released very minimally. Yet there are other artists who it seems like they've released 5 times more albums after their death than they did when they were alive. And I'm always a little torn on that. It's like, unless you were in the middle of making the album, like when you passed or something, if you didn't intend it to be out in the world, should it be there?
It could be a fine line for sure. I mean, if the family is in charge of the estate and they give the okay, and if the project is actually given proper care and proper time to work on it, like this box set was, then yeah, that's fine, I think. But if it's the 27th Greatest Hits album, then yeah, that's probably not as artistically motivated a release as others might be. So again, it's a fine line, and it might just be a case-by-case basis a lot of times, Sean.
Agreed. I mean, what if you're like me and you don't like your family? And the kind of people who would release stuff just to make you look bad.
Well, in that case, screw them. Leave my stuff alone.
I'm putting all the royalties, they're all going to the dog.
Yeah. All right, Sean, what you got next?
Next up is a comedy song of sorts. I honestly don't think it's particularly funny, but I bring it in for a couple of reasons about how perceptions have changed about food over the years, and how some people are just defiantly uncultured sounds wrong. Unexperimental, perhaps. Gourmet Restaurant by Ray Stevens.
Well, I went to the Chez Paris. The food was good there, I'd been told. They said I should try some of that there vichyssoise, but when they brought it, heck, it's cold. I said, don't you just have some tomato soup? He said, the gazpacho is awfully nice. I said, well, bring me a big bowl of that. He did, and that blames it wasn't cold as ice. Oh, you can't have those high-priced gourmet restaurants. Yeah, the waiters act snooty and they walk kind of fruity and they won't bring you what you want. Now, I like greens and cornbread and beans and a big old glass of iced tea. I tell you, friends, them gourmet restaurants ain't for me.
I don't think I'm exaggerating if I say that this pretty much completely illustrates the entire divide that's happening in America and is why our society is going to go down in flames. But I suppose I should expand slightly on that thought, because Ray Stevens doesn't seem quite worthy of being blamed for the entire downfall of Western civilization. After all, Lee Greenwood has his share in this as well. But obviously the whole thing, it's a joke song, yada, yada, yada. But this is a mindset that I had at one point in my life. The whole, oh, well, I don't want to try something new. I don't want to do anything different, yada, 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 yada. And there are times now that I regret how many opportunities or how many years I passed up things simply because someone else told me that it wasn't something I should want, or that it's something that if it's not the kind of thing that I've had before, it's definitely not the kind of thing that I could possibly enjoy now. And also, to bring it kind of more back to food scene, this song is from 1987, and I think most people of kind of our generation have that image in mind, even into the 90s with like shows like Frasier, where anything that's more fancy than a cheeseburger and fries is being served at a restaurant that's got a French name, and it's being served by a waiter who's got his nose so high in the air that it's scraping the ceiling. And it's all going to be really tiny bites of things that you're going to leave unsatisfied and hungry and be like, why did I spend all this money on this? And I'm very glad that society has changed, at least in cities and places where I'm lucky enough to go, to where the idea of a snooty restaurant where people wear coats and ties and waiters speak French at you, and if you don't know which is your salad fork and which is your caper fork, that you're going to be laughed at behind your back. Food's gotten democratized. Even the really good shit has gotten democratized. I've probably worn t-shirts to as many Michelin star restaurants as I have worn suit jackets. Because it's like my favorite restaurant in the world is a place in Chicago called Schwa. And it's gotten a little more formal over the years. They actually take reservations now. But back in like 10 years ago, they had reservations were entirely if you happened to call at a moment when they would be willing to pick up the phone. They had no wait staff. Everything was brought out and served by the cooks. It was BYOB, so no wine list, no sommelier coming over to you. You bring food for the kitchen. They share the liquor they've got in the back. Everyone in the restaurant sharing the booze they brought. Sometimes maybe the cooks would be high on meth and get into a fight on the floor. It would happen. The final bill would be whatever they happen to feel like charging you that given night. One night we went in after they canceled the reservation, and they're like, give us $20 for the two of you. It'll be fine. And normally it's a meal that theoretically was like $350. So I feel like there's still this weird stigma, and maybe it's something that younger people don't feel because I'm old and I'm dealing with cultural references from the 70s, 80s, 90s. But at least among my generation, and definitely in a certain sort of sociological group, there's a sense that if somebody has taken the time to care about it, then it obviously must not be something for me. And I don't understand that, and this was an opportunity for me to rant about that. And Ray Stevens is awful, by the way. And I'm sorry to everyone who might have listened to this song and his vaguely homophobic references and accents in it, but it seemed like a useful cultural thing, kind of like the old golden era Looney Tunes cartoons. Just need to put a disclaimer on it.
I was going to say, I never thought I would long for Alice's Restaurant. Please come back, Arlo. 18 more minutes, please, but...
You will pay for that.
But let me say this, I am by no means a comedy music hater. Weird Al, Lonely Island, Flight of the Conchords, Tenacious D, Garfunkel and Oates, even a Hello Mutta Hello Fada. I got time for that. But man, this was not putting a smile on my face at all. And the reasons why are A, the laugh track sounds obviously fake, and B, the jokes are as hacky as you can get. Oh, the gazpacho soup is cold. What's going on there? And, oh, aren't frogs' legs weird? And the one at the end, this food is fit for a king. Here, boy. I've heard that joke a million times. And look, comedy is subjective. I'm sure this makes other people laugh, but I am not one of them, Sean.
If they laugh, they're wrong. Comedy is subjective, art is subjective, but on the other hand, this song is objectively bad. And the thoughts behind it are bad, and people who have these thoughts are bad. And I'm not saying anyone needs to like any one given thing in the world. There are things that I hate most vegetables, except in very rare cases. And I know people who absolutely love them. Nobody is obligated to like anything. No one's obligated to say, oh, well, yeah, this is the thing that I should be eating, so I like it. But the lack of curiosity and the lack of willingness to try things. And I feel like food is one of those areas where it's the most prominent, but you see it everywhere in our society. And it doesn't even make me angry. It just makes me kind of sad and disappointed because you only get one spin around here. Try as much shit as you can. To leave yourself in the tiniest of boxes, be it with food, friends, experiences. It's just so pointless.
Ray Stevens, who, by the way, not the wrestler. That's a different guy.
Oh, he would have done such a better version, though.
Yeah. As much as I don't fancy his oeuvre, he was pretty successful. He has that song, The Streak, which was a #1 hit. He's got 2 Grammys, gold records. He's in multiple Hall of Fames. And he did do straightforward songs along with the comedy stuff that he was known for. So, a lot of people did like his work there, Sean.
Ray Stevens is one of those guys who, if you watch TV for like more than 20 minutes during the 80s, you would see a commercial for his albums. He was omnipresent in having his albums sold on TV and TV commercials. Which says a lot of things, both good and bad, I suppose. Still alive, too.
Yeah, still kicking around. Must have been that gourmet food he ate that one time. Kept him going there.
He's kept himself safe from the dangers of cold soup.
Well, I just noticed that there's a cat over there in the corner of the room, and he looks hungry. So I'm going to feed him with some help from King Crimson. This is off of their second album, In the Wake of Poseidon. This is Cat Food.
Lady with no shopper with a new one in the hopper, which of a chemical brew. Cooking to a neighbor while she polishes a saber, knows how to flavor a stew. Never need to worry with a tin of hurry curry, poison especially for you. No use to complain if you're caught out in the rain. Your mother's quite insane. Cat food, cat food, cat food again.
So King Crimson, they're known for their long compositions, especially in the first chunk of their career. And God love them, they're such prog rock weirdos that this is their idea of a single. This is their Lucky Man. This is their Roundabout. This weird-ass song about the harmful nature of commercialism through the lens of processed food, with lines like, "Crooning to the muzak from a speaker in the shoe rack," and "Goodies for the table with a fable on the label, drowning in miracle sauce." Just these oddball lyrics. And the core of the song is this frantic, harried piano just jingling away. It actually sounds like a cat is walking across the piano keys. It's kind of nerve-wracking. But that's King Crimson. They're not the commercial darlings. They are not cat food. They make the music they want to make, and you just have to strap in, Sean.
I remember when I was 5 or 6 years old, my mother, my father, and I were out for a drive, and my father put the In the Court of the Crimson King album into the 8-track player.
Ah, classic.
After about 8 minutes, my mother screamed at the very top of her lungs, yanked the 8-track out, threw it out on the expressway, and said, "If you ever play this album again, I will divorce you immediately."
She was screaming like the album cover, the big face, ah!
I don't have much in common with my mother these days, but I think on that one I'm still aligned. I tried. I listened to this song 5 times today. 3 of the times I forgot I was listening to it. When I heard it, all I could think is this sounds like something that Ian Anderson discarded as something that I might have put on a Jethro Tull album, but decided I couldn't figure out exactly how I want to fit my flute into it. I just cannot do prog rock, which is, I love postmodern sort of experimental instrumental music. So it's not like the length or the idea of long instrumental beats or anything throws me off, but I don't know, 70s prog rock just feels stultifying to me. It feels like I'm in a lecture, even if it's not even if it's trying to be as frivolous as possible.
Harsh words from the man who picked Ray Stevens. All right, I see how it is.
To be fair, this song was much better than the Ray Stevens song.
I'll take it.
I will give you that.
I'll take it, yeah. Well, what's fascinating to me about this is that this album came out less than a year after Crimson King, which was a hit and a well-received album, and half the band's already left. Like, Greg Lake does the vocals and literally starts Emerson, Lake and Palmer immediately after. So he's gone. And it's just amazing how bands can change, so quickly, seemingly from one day to the next, Sean.
Well, when you have these prog bands that have 30, 40, 50 people kind of going in and out, it's very easy for the revolving door to just keep spinning and spinning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing that, even through tumultuous times, they can still make good music, I know you wouldn't say so in this case, but but we'll agree to disagree in that front, Sean.
Again, the musicianship is impeccable. But what you were saying kind of reminds me of one of my favorite parody headlines. Man suddenly remembers that he was briefly in Lord Huron. It's like, yeah, I could see that. I'm sure there were some people in the 70s who were like, did I work with Alan Parsons at some point? I might have.
Was that a 2-week stint with Gentle Giant? What happened there? Got a hell of a hangover right now.
I think I played timpani on the Lamleys down on Broadway.
Oh, I could go on all day, but there's no time. So let's go to your next pick there, Sean.
My next pick is Music for a Sushi Restaurant by Harry Styles, which I had never heard in my life until I was picking out songs for this show. And honestly, I could probably live without ever hearing it again, but it made me want to have a discussion about something almost completely unrelated to the music. So away we go.
Green eyes, fried rice, I could cook an egg on you. Late night game time, coffee on the stove. Yeah. Your sweet ice cream, but you could use a flake or two. Blue bubble gum twist around your tongue. I don't want you to get lost. I don't want you to go broke. I want you. Just 'cause I love you, babe, in every kind of way. Just a little taste. You know I love you, babe.
So, first off, there's a lot of mixing of metaphors and things happening here that my MFA degree and my work as time as an English teacher is kind of making me get a little twitchy about, but I'm going to put the red pen down for a minute because we talked about clout chasers and influencers, or at least I did earlier, and this song I picked entirely because it reminds me of one of the things that drove me, that I found so annoying and that I hated when I was dealing with it. Years and years ago, I was a delivery driver for Grubhub in Chicago, over a decade ago. And one of the restaurants that I would often get called to was this super trendy Pan-Asian sushi joint in like the most hip part of the city and the most busy part of the city. And it was the kind of place where you had to park your car in the alley to pick up the food and go in through a back door into another side door because they couldn't, the clientele could not possibly look at you and your grubby delivery bag, because by God, we're eating our gourmet dragon rolls and we will not have our eyes offended by such sights. And at the time, it didn't bother me too much because I really had not had a lot of sushi. But right around that time, I had my eyes opened, and for the first few times, actually had good, fresh, high-end, quality sushi made by sushi masters who know what they're doing. And at that point, not only was I offended just personally because of how I was being treated every time I had to pick up food at this restaurant, but I was offended because sushi is just not a food that lends itself to club music. Sushi should be quiet. Little, maybe tinkling chimes in the background. But if I'm sitting there and I'm having an omakase and somebody has spent 10 years learning how to make the sushi rice so that they can put my toro on it and put just the tiniest little grated wasabi on there, the real wasabi, not the green horseradish bullshit, the last thing I want is Harry Styles talking about sex in 9 different ways, none of which seem to connect to each other.
Well, the backstory here is that he was inspired by being in a sushi restaurant, and one of his songs came on, and he was like, this is weird music for a sushi restaurant, but this is weird music for a sushi restaurant too. Like, I don't think of spring rolls and raw fish and go, ah, yes, Harry Styles acting all sexy. You know, it is an odd match for sure, Sean.
It just... I appreciate that he realized that he shouldn't be music in a sushi restaurant. I give him a little respect for that. But it demeans the art. It's demeaning the artist. If you're making good sushi, you're someone who's devoted your life to this. And being distracted and slamming a roll in your mouth, half paying attention because you're too busy trying to hit on the Instagram model next to you, I just get offended on behalf of the chef and on behalf of everyone involved in the process. And I probably shouldn't get offended on people's behalf so often, but I'm at the age in life where I take offense to a lot of things. I don't act on it very often because I'm also very old and lazy, but I take offense at a lot of things. But I don't take offense at sushi being sushi. And that's a food I really wish I'd taken the time to be brave enough to try, like I was talking about before. I've spent 40 years of my life not eating good sushi. And I almost certainly do not have 40 more years coming up. So I wasted over half my life not eating sushi because I was like, ew, raw fish, because my mom and dad thought it was gross.
Well, the funny thing is, this is actually my favorite pick of yours today. I like this song a lot, you know, and I don't listen to Harry Styles, either solo or One Direction, but this was good. Like the pop funk music, the ba ba ba, and the quirky hook for the song in general, you know, and again, would this make my playlist for a sushi restaurant? Probably not, no. But would I listen to this, you know, if I'm dancing around in my kitchen making food, or If I'm at the club, which I never am, but if I was, would I bob around to it? Yes, I would. So it gets a thumbs up from me, Sean.
I'd eat at a trendy small plates restaurant. I mean, I would listen to this and it would be perfectly fine. I could have tapas to this.
Mm-hmm. And I want to bring up the music video for this too, which is also quite bizarre because it has Harry Styles as this half man, half squid hybrid, and he gets taken to a sushi restaurant where they're going to cook him and serve him, but his voice enchants the workers, and he takes over the restaurant, and they're like rubbing lotion on his tentacles, and there's a shrimp backing band. It's quite something, Sean.
I think my respect for Harry Styles just went up yet another notch. That sounds amazing.
Well, for my second to last pick, I have a clip I'd like to play beforehand.
I'm not used to being rich. I can't stop having wine. I can buy the most delicious wine now.
Business is in my blood. I can see past the numbers.
I'm scared about how much I need wine. I can't even watch a movie anymore without a big pour of wine and popcorn. My mouth is purple, and when I look in the toilet bowl, it's purple. Purple and black.
Yes, much like Patty Harrison in that I Think You Should Leave sketch, I'm also going to pour myself a big glass of wine, and I'm not alone either. This is Adele off of her album 30, and this is I Drink Wine.
They say to play hard, you work hard, find balance in the sacrifice. Yet I don't know anybody who's truly satisfied. You better believe I'm trying to keep climbing. But the higher we climb feels like we're both none the wiser. So I hope I learn to get over myself. Stop trying to be somebody else, so we can love each other for free. Everybody wants something, you just want me.
A British soul singer once tried to serenade me. I ate her liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Tell me, Senator, did you breastfeed Adele as a baby? Toughened your nipples, didn't it? Alright, I'll stop. Yeah, big shocker. Adele's a pretty great singer. You don't win 16 Grammys for nothing. And 30 is a divorce album. She's divorced from her husband, and she has a young kid, too. And this song is about her taking her share of the responsibility for the marriage ending, and also realizing that she's kind of gone away from herself and addressing her own insecurities and her own ego. When I was a child, every single thing could blow my mind, soaking it all up for fun, but now I only soak up wine. Well, I hope I learn to get over myself, stop trying to be somebody else. Why am I obsessing about the things I can't control? Why am I seeking approval from people I don't even know? In these crazy times, I hope to find something I can cling on to, because I need some substance in my life, something real, something that feels true. So yeah, it's not like Rolling in the Deep, which is also a breakup song, but it's a fuck you breakup song. This one is introspective and just really great, Sean.
I love this song. I had not really heard it much, so listening to it, to get ready for this, I was like, oh, this is... It reminded me of one of my favorite groups, actually, a group called Over the Rhine, who have a lot of songs about thinking very hard late at night and doing it over a glass of wine or 2 or 20, and trying to sort of figure out your life while seeing if the phrase in Vino Veritas is actually the case. But it's definitely a breakup song that has an optimism to it that you don't always find. it's on the down. It feels like it's on the downs curve of the breakup. Like, okay, it's gotten as bad as it can get. I've reached the peak of depression and misery. Now I'm on the down slope. Still sad, but perspective is beginning to creep in, and that's always an interesting period because it can take a long time for that. And I mean, where was the line you quoted actually a moment ago about why am I caring about what other people think? Why am I seeking approval from people I don't even know? I think that's kind of been the running theme of what I've been talking about, and what kind of goes through my mind most of the time is that idea that there are so few people whose opinion really matters. Why are you worrying about anyone who isn't in that very small group? Are you a wine guy?
No, I'm not really a drinker.
That's
what
I thought. My mind is cobwebby and mushy, so I don't always remember things. I was actually just saying a couple days ago that I'm very glad that I'm not deep into wine. Because the only way that I'm able to afford the food that I like to eat is because I don't run up a wine bill along with it. I've gone out to dinner with friends of mine who are insane wine people, and they'll get into a longer conversation with the sommelier about the wine list than I could get into talking about 1987 NWA wrestling. Which, as anyone knows that's a long conversation. But I've never been a wine drinker type, and I'm glad, but also kind of sad, because it seems like it's something that would be very interesting to get into, but also expensive beyond my wildest nightmares.
Yeah, I'm someone who prefers watching the movie sideways as opposed to being an actual wine guy myself, so exactly. I can just imagine like how much money I've saved over the years not buying wine or not buying cases of beer. It's probably astronomical at this point, but Adele, with this song, I read that she was inspired by Elton John and Bernie Taupin and their writing style, which I could definitely hear. I mean, just the way the piano and the drums are going, it feels like an Elton John song for sure. And I also read that it was originally much longer. It was like 15 minutes, and the label was like, Adele, we love you, but you're not getting a 15-minute song on the radio. So it was cut down to 6 minutes, but I can only imagine just how much more wallowing in confession were in those extra 9 minutes, Sean.
I assume the original of this is kind of like the unabridged version of Hallelujah that's supposed to be like 120 verses long. I also, you said that she was inspired by Elton John and Bernie Taupin, and I want to believe that she lived that out by doing either the music while drunk on wine, and then doing the lyrics while sober. So it was kind of like two people working together.
Yeah. But all right, Sean, what's your last pick of the episode?
My last pick is one that is probably the only one I'm picking because it actually celebrates food and makes me kind of hungry to think about it. And that is Cheeseburger in Paradise by Jimmy Buffett. I'm sorry, but I enjoy it.
Heard about the old-time sailor men. They'd eat the same thing again and again. Warm beer and bread, they said, could raise the dead. Well, it reminds me of the menu at a Holiday Inn. Times have changed for sailors these days. When I'm in port, I get what I need. Not just Havanas or bananas or daiquiris, but that America creation on which I feed. Cheeseburger in paradise, medium rare with mustard be nice.
about Michelin star places that I've been. I could ramble on about molecular gastronomy. I could talk about fusion trends. But at heart, I'm a simple man. And there really is very little more satisfying in the entire realm of experience than a perfectly done cheeseburger. And this song understands that. It makes it clear. And I don't know how even the most strident vegan couldn't think about this burger in their mind and just be like, and go full Homer Simpson. And sure, it's Jimmy Buffett, and it's Jimmy Buffett. I think we all know that speaks volumes, but sometimes a simple man, a simple song, a simple cheeseburger is all you need.
Yeah, there are a bunch of obvious songs that you could pick for this episode, and this has to be near the top, if not number one. And I'm not a Parrot Head. I have no beef with them. It's just not my thing. But I will say this song is very relatable because I've often said to myself, I gotta lose weight, I gotta eat better, I can't eat so much bad food. But I'm a weak man, Sean. And I'll go over to Five Guys, I'll get myself a burger and fries, and I will scarf that shit down like nobody's business. And do I feel kind of regretful afterwards? Yeah, maybe. Do I feel regret as I'm eating it? Hell no. So, a cheeseburger in paradise, yeah, it may not be good for you, but man, it still hits the spot. So, I salute Jimmy Buffett and his ode to the burger, Sean.
Exactly. And just sometimes you gotta have a little bit of junk food. Music, and Jimmy Buffett is the most musical junk food there is. Outside of Come Monday, which I think is a legitimate great song. But everything else, it's exactly what it is. It's party music to drink margaritas by. It's vapid, and you don't have to pay any attention to it. It's just a nice background music. But that burger, I'm hungry now just thinking about this, and I ate dinner already. I may have to go get a burger after this now, especially because you mentioned Five Guys, which is my absolute king of burger chains, and I applaud your choice there.
Thank you. Well, this is another song as well that is inspired by a true story. I guess Jimmy Buffett was on this boat trip where something on the boat broke and they had to kind of limp to shore, and all they had to eat was canned food and peanut butter. And when they got to land, they went right to a restaurant and ordered cheeseburgers. And they weren't even made well, but they still tasted so good because of the ordeal. And speaking as someone who has been living at a hotel for the past 4 months, without access to my own kitchen and oven and freezer, and living on Chef Boyardee and supermarket pasta meals, I am confident that the first meal I make at home is going to be a great one, Sean.
When I moved into my current house, I got a grill for the first time, and the first thing I made on it was just big old burgers with bacon and gorgonzola cheese and just stuff that it was so big the hands could barely hold it. And I'm like, I finally have peaked at life. I could go now. I am eating this burger I made with my own hands. I've never felt like more of a man than I did in that moment. I likely never will again.
Well, my last pick here, I want some dessert to cap off the meal. And I went with the boys in Van Halen. Now, they do have the song Ice Cream Man, but I went with a song from the Van Hagar era. This is off of the album For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, F-U-C-K. Get it?
Ah!
This is Pound Cake.
You take an average guy who can't identify, and there's a short supply of all the fine stuff. Let me get on some of that. Shake it up, make it up nice. Let me get on.
So yeah, David Lee Roth has Ice Cream Man. Sammy Hagar has Pound Cake. The sexually charged song wrapped in a food metaphor. Homegrown and down home. Oh yeah, that's a woman. Still cooking with that old time, long lost recipe. I mean, there's even a power drill in this song. Eddie Van Halen plays his guitar with a power drill. Like, it's not all that subtle. You know, this is Van Halen we're talking about here. But you know what? I still like it. It's still a lot of fun. And overall, I do prefer the Dave era over the Sammy era. But the Sammy era is good too. There's plenty of good stuff there too, Sean.
This might be the most 80s song ever made, even though it was actually released in 1991. I have nothing. I don't know how anyone could ever have anything bad to say about Van Halen, at least the David Lee Roth or the Sammy Hagar years. We'll just forgive them the Michael Sharon years and say that, well,
Gary Sharon.
Mistakes. Gary Sharon's, see, that's how irrelevant he is. I couldn't even remember his full name. And I remember everything. But, yeah, the power drill was, like, so excessively, like, cool. How the fuck are you playing your guitar with a power drill? It was like he took Jimmy Page using the violin bow and upped it by 1,000 times. You mentioned, though, that the Lee Roth era had ice cream. And I was thinking about the third possible Van Halen food-related choice that we could have gone with. And that would have been Everybody Wants Some from the dancing hamburger sequence in the movie Better Off Dead.
Oh, yes. That's right. That's right.
Which was really one of my first exposures to Van Halen, because I saw that movie far, far younger than I probably should have. And I was kind of surprised to find out that the Burger Singers were actually a real band. Are you a Roth, or you said you're a Roth guy?
I'm a Roth guy, yeah, but I like Sammy too. I like his stuff in Van Halen and Solo and Montrose and things like that. So yeah.
I think that's the right thing. I mean, I can't imagine any sane person saying that I prefer Van Hagar, but it's not a diss on them. Van Hagar, good band. David Lee Roth version of Van Halen, best band. Like, it often, I know people always get into arguments about, like, greatest bands and who's the best of this or who's the best of that. And I don't know that I could say that Van Halen is the greatest American band ever. But if you wanted to tell me that the David Lee Roth version of Van Halen was the most quintessential American rock band ever, I'm pretty sure I would not even be able to muster up a small argument against it. Because it's just so archetypical and perfect. I mean, David Lee Roth is just a god of a frontman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to R.E.M. or Aerosmith or the Ramones or whatever, but they're not doing the splits. You know, David Lee Roth is. He's got them beat on that front for sure, Sean. So,
like the bumper stickers that say, "Be yourself, always be yourself, unless you can be Batman, then be Batman." For me, it's always be yourself, unless you can be 1982 David Lee Roth. In which case, then yeah, I'm switching places immediately.
For sure, yeah. Well, you mentioned this album came out in 91. It's amazing, like, you know, that's the year that grunge breaks big with Nevermind and 10 and Bad Motor Finger. And you've got the Black Album coming out, and you've got Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and it's this changing of the guard in rock. But this album was still the number one album for 3 weeks in a row. And the next Van Halen album, Balance, in 95, was also number one. So Van Halen, you know, they hung on as rock kingpins well into the 90s, Sean.
People definitely get the impression that, like, in 1991, some sort of goon squad went around and grabbed all of the metal bands and just shipped them off to the Sunset Strip retirement home. But you go back in that era, and there was still a ton of people buying and going to see concerts for this. You could see that it was reaching the point of excess. I mean, you could possibly say that the power drill may have been the final moment of hair metal and metal before it all had to go away for a little while. But, like, it's not, people who didn't live through it get the sense sometimes that, like, Kurt Cobain took his scythe and just swung it across the rock music world and suddenly all that was left were people wearing flannel. I mean, maybe in Seattle that was the case, but for those of us out here in the heartland, the real America, we were still listening to metal well into the early mid-90s. And you know what? I'm damn proud of it.
Mm-hmm. You reminded me of that quote from The Wrestler where they're like, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Def Leppard, and then that Cobain pussy had to come and ruin it all, so... Yeah, but all right, those were our picks. That was the episode, and Sean, I am just stuffed to the gills with cheeseburgers and sushi and popcorn and caviar and so much more. This was a proper feast and a lot of fun as well, so thanks for being here, man.
Oh, always a pleasure. I'm going to go now and find some popcorn and Five Guys, maybe drink some wine, because I do like wine, I just don't need to spend much on it.
Get a cheap bottle. You can't tell the difference, Come on.
No. Oh, no. I got a $15 bottle sitting upstairs that's just calling my name, and I will love it as much as if it was a $500 bottle.
Very good, very good. Well, any plugs you want to give? Go right ahead.
No.
All right.
Nothing. My plug is listen to Andrew Rich's show. All of the episodes. If you've listened to them all, go back and listen to them all again.
Well, I very much appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir. Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, all the other shows on there, voicesofwrestling.com for previews, reviews, articles, things like that. Bluesky at Music of the Mat and at Just Andrew on Bluesky. If you want to leave a comment about this episode, share your picks, voicesofwrestling.com/Discord. That's also where I post the Spotify playlist for each episode. And of course, making sure you subscribe to the show on Apple, Spotify, or your player of choice, and leave a nice rating and review. Okay, the playout song for today. We'll take a trip down to Oklahoma City and visit our pals, the Flaming Lips. This is off of their album Transmissions from the Satellite Heart. It's their big breakthrough single, She Don't Use Jelly. Thanks again, Sean.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew.
She'll make you breakfast, she'll make you toast, but she don't use butter, and she don't use cheese, she don't use jelly or any of these. She uses Vaseline,
Music of the Mat is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. The songs used throughout this show are property of their respective copyright holders.
My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines. And we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voice of Wrestling Network.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.